Hello. I call myself an Arizonan. And I want to introduce myself. I am a complicated person. I have, by living life on life terms within the limits that I have been subject to, with the information, knowledge, and experience that has been available to me, it has resulted in my doing some pretty remarkable things under very difficult circumstances. And for me, I to overcome obstacles that have been intentionally placed in my way. I am having to work very hard to get around them. The internet has been instrumental in helping me get some of this done, but there's still more to do. Trains of abuses and usurpations, problems with officials in government, people making decisions that are not theirs to make, failure to abide constitutional due processes, which state what government can do and can't do, and its obligations to citizens. And that I am have been am confronted with the failure of government to abide the rules of government, which are defined in Constitution, which the state and federal governments have established statutes that define what speedy justice means, which what representation and due process of defense and entering evidence and witnesses in your favor. What is unreasonable, what is not unreasonable, the limits of that they knew even then. We talk about all the discussion of climate change, but even our founders understood climate change was already a problem, that people could overwhelm the environment in which they lived to the detriment of all things that existed there. Over and over and over again, the rise and fall of civilizations, the complications of individuals when poor distribution, when people make decisions that on topics or arenas that have to be defined in a group. On an individual basis, I've been have had wonderful successes, even though their returns have always all been modest or just you know the satisfaction of making contributions, but there should be returns. And so I need to reach beyond the limits and obstruction, the persecution to which I'm currently subjected. I have been able to inform people that care, but there is still something wrong. And I'm not able to identify it. I just know that if this is our laws and this is the due process that our government, we all know our government is required, the people within our government are required to manage for its citizens. And that if I can have been, and I'm not able to reach those things do not exist in the processes that I have been subjected to, initiated by government. and the effort to make government function for me in justice and due process, including introducing uh, advancing sciences and improvements in government that would have reciprocity, that should improve my life in multiple ways. And still I'm left struggling with isolation and obstruction that in our nation and in the laws of our government makes it wrong. So I need to share my account as best that I can, and how to bring attention to this individual concern, but it affects us all. If government fails one person, government fails us all. And what and it's not what government says, it's what government does, the people in government do, and that there are established ways and means to decide that are not being included in the decision-making process, to manage the decision-making process. And so we have damage that concerns us all, we have problems that concern us all, and yet the process that could redirect and correct these decisions that compromise nature, compromise biology, compromise our natural resources, doesn't correct this function, this due process that is not being engaged as it should be. So to correct the problems I have faced in government questioning me, and that process not being constitutional, and denied the correction, denied the relief, the redress of grievances, and the means to introduce what I have come to understand about science, about constitution, about the problems we face, and solutions that are available that are being obstructed by a failure to abide the processes, the requirements of the processes that our founders knew were required to prevent problems, to correct problems, and hold people accountable by whatever measure, and to support citizens, families, and communities in self-provision and and community management that security and prosperity are founded on. My name is Alice Yvonne Lukasik. I call myself in Arizona for Arizona, and I've been denied due process for a lot of for, that our Constitution prohibits. And if public awareness is what is needed to come to bear on this problem, how can it come to bear without awareness? So I'm going to practice introducing bits and pieces of my story of an Arizonan and see what happens. Thanks for tuning in.